Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Vasudeva Bhakta.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Vasudeva Bhakta.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Hari Bo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Hari Bo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bo Krishna, Hari Bo Krishna.
Hari Govinda Rama,
Mohana,
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Hare Krishna Rama, Madana Mohana, Hare Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Hare Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Hare Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hare Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasarate.
Haribol Namaste. I read here the teachings, one of Lord Krishna's teaching. And it is very clear and profound, and it will be the guidance, the outlook in our focus, in our meditation, to be successful in our endeavor, to be in harmony with the love and will of the Supreme Person. So we will discuss here his guidance and also activities done by saintly person, how they were able to achieve this transcendental connection with the Supreme Lord. So in a nutshell, bottom line, what we focus, what we meditate, our activities, the drive we put, the endeavor we put, the actions we do, will determine what result we will gain. A certain activity leads to a certain consciousness, and a certain consciousness leads to a certain activity. So all of us here listening now, majority of us want relief. We want to be alleviated from this, an alleviation from this suffering we experience. And what are those suffering? The loneliness, the emptiness of the heart, the confusion we are in, And we ask ourselves, is there a way out? Is there a solution to all of this? And in the face of this adversity that we experience internally, externally, we can see that there's so many problems connected with this body in our struggle to exist, because the nature of the person, us, will be always existing. It's natural for us to be in a driving mood to exist, because that is our life, existence, the quality of the person, the spirit soul. So the question now is, what kind of existence will we be experiencing? So all of us here, we're on a crossroad to make decision in our life, because we do know that the inevitable that we deny or we don't want to remember is just coming soon. And the experience we experience now points to something that, yes, I need to solve these problems I am facing. But my drive to solve the problems is based upon my own struggle, my own will. But the problem is that I am not self-sufficient, I'm not all knowledgeable, and I am not independent. And it points in clarity clearly that we are all under the laws of material nature. That no matter how much we try to struggle, there are forces that dominates us. So an intelligent person will ask this question: is there a solution to the problems I face? So Lord Krishna gives us this guidance. In Bhagavad Gita is the song of God. Because when the Supreme Person speaks, it's a transcendental singing. Karma yoga, or action in Krishna consciousness. Karma means action, what we do with our life. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasure have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Material sense pleasure, the purport of our instructing spiritual master, the dearmost spiritual master of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Material sense pleasure are due to the contact of material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated person or a free person is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasure, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? So Lord Krishna tells us in depth through the purport of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, our instructing spiritual master. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth. And therefore, the supreme absolute truth, the personality of God, Godhead, is known as Rama, the giver of pleasure. So our nature is we're always seeking for pleasure. But due to ignorance, when we try to derive and direct that longing for pleasure through following these dictates of lust, the fulfillment or trying to have happiness through sensual enjoyment, guided by the mind and the desire, with the promise that we will be happy, then we have a problem because we are not the body. And everything that is connected to this miserable body will be a cause for our suffering because we will be identifying with the body. We will be identifying with death and the futility of our struggle, wherein we use our precious time in this body while traveling in this planet, in this universe, temporary in this body, the machine we're in, and we use this opportunity to put our force, our energy in trying to establish our security and foundation for happiness in something that will not make us stand, meaning continually change, and we are not able to be established in refuge because the refuge of trying to find happiness in this body, this vehicle, is futile because we will be separated from the body. So the denial that Maya influence us or illusion influence us with a promise of enjoyment covers our vision, covers our intelligence, and we are now driven by a force because the love that we have is now directed upon this material world. It's directed upon trying to fulfill this fulfillment in our heart by our own endeavor. And in the truest sense, we are not able to sustain that because we are not self-sufficient. We are dependent. And that joy and security can only be found and be established when we don't take part in the source of misery. And our meditation, our activities is not directed upon this transitory or changing world that we cannot be having a solid ground for security because it's continually changed and we leave everything behind. So now, the instruction of Lord Krishna is that an intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery. So in the Christian teaching, most of us were brought in a Christian environment. The teaching of Lord Jesus Christ, as you sow, so you shall reap. Whatever you have planted, that you will be reaping. As in the law of karma, a certain action, there is a corresponding reaction. If we engage in activities, there will always, material activities, there will always be a corresponding reaction. So if our meditation is based upon focusing our whole being in the source of misery, and obviously the source of misery is this body, but how come we cling to this body so much? Yeah? Our meditation, most of us, is about perpetuating our existence in this temporary body. And if we are eternal, how come we're trying very, very hard to succeed in an endeavor of futility? So we must become intelligent. So I'll read to you here what we should be focusing, the person, the living entity, me, who is transcendental, who is a different energy from matter using this body. How will I be focused? What will be my meditation? What should I be thinking? What should I be focusing? Where should I be establishing my trust and goal to find real happiness. So meditation. Meditation means to focus the mind. But when we focus the mind is a tool that we can use to focus and use. And when we are able to control the mind, direct the mind, curb the mind, then the mind becomes our friend, and the senses follows, and this body follows. But we must be the one directing the mind. And if we just make an effort by our own power to try to subjugate or control the mind, it will be very hard. It's like trying to hit. There's a wall that blocks us because we are not self-sufficient, we are not all-powerful. So I'll read here a meditation of a saintly person, how he used his time, his energy. So don't get me wrong that we should be imitating this person and also live a life of seclusion, of poverty, because he's an individual. All of us here are individuals. You can be in a body of a woman, a mother, a child. You can be skilled as a teacher, but we're all individuals. And we can harness these resources that is inherent in the soul, with the soul, the living entity you, and direct it for our uplift, our liberation, to be connected in a transcendental world that is not touched by this material miserable world, because our focus and meditation will be under an energy that is different from matter. That while we are in this body experiencing the dualities. What are the dualities we experience? Now it's cool. After a while it becomes hot. You're happy now. Then after a while you become lonely. There are always dualities in this world. Today it's daytime. After some time it will become nighttime. It's always dualities. Me personally, when I experience happiness in my heart, a joy, I remember what will be the next. Because it's a dual world. What will come next? But don't lose hope, because there is a way. If we use our intelligence properly, we use this body intelligently and be guided by God Himself. Meaning, to do what is pleasing to the person. We are always praying every day. We're trying to relate every day that even though in our upbringing, in a Christian environment, our relationship with the Supreme Person, He is the one who provides us, the Supreme Provider. It can be purified, it can be very close when our relationship becomes mature, that we can understand that He takes care of us even though we don't ask anything from Him. He sustains our body. No, He gives us everything so we can live in this body. He cares for us. He loves us. Then when we become mature spiritually through the process that gives us clarity of mind, entering the world of what is pure love of God. What is pure love of God? It is God's love for us, compassion upon us, which is unconditional, meaning no condition. You may want to serve Him or not serve Him. You may be His enemy. You may be serving Him. He loves us unconditionally. He's our eternal friend. And He's just waiting for us. He gives us guidance. He says He sends His representative, or He comes Himself to redeem us from this suffering. Now, if we're intelligent, yes, there is a solution. Look around, who gives us a solution? With the problems in these trying times, Who has a solution to all these problems? No one. It's a band-aid solution. We must get to the root cause of the problem. The problem is that we are not surrendered and taking shelter of that love. We should be in that environment. And meditation is very important, and the crux that will help us achieve God's pleasure upon us. So I'll read to you this very nice story of a person who have come in contact with God through the instructing spiritual master, the saintly person. Just like now, we're given this opportunity to hear the message of God through our instructing spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, the dearmost spiritual master of our spiritual master, the life of our spiritual master, the maid servant of Radha and Krsna, whose whole soul life is to please and love the Supreme Person. Their heart is overflowing with love and compassion, that it overflows, it touches to see that this love can be tasted by us by His appearance and presence through His words and instruction, that His heart touches our heart. To taste the sweetness of transcendental love, transcendental relationship, a meditation that is eternally connected with us, because the soul, the living entity, me, love is inseparable from me. And because I've misdirected this love and focused it upon this temporary world, I'm experiencing suffering. So we must become intelligent. So we must ask, do I have the intelligence? Or will I be lackadaisical? Or just not take part and not take this great opportunity and throw it away? And not take advantage of the sweetness, of the desire, of the world, of pleasing the Supreme Person. So in our study program, it's already established our true nature. We're transcendental, we're not this body. Real religion is eternal. It is not joining a group, but rather it is transcendental to material consideration. It's not connected with allegiance. It's not connected with joining. It's not connected with a group. Because you come here alone, you leave this world alone. So if in this lifetime, what we're doing, instead of peeling the bug with transcendental wisdom and knowledge, living the life of a transcendental life that is focused upon serving God, living a life of life and happiness, if we are not able to direct the mind and we take part in the source of misery because of our meditation and disregarding that kindness, that mercy, that love and compassion, the sweetness of love to be being taken care by our eternal Father, our eternal friend, then we're bound to suffer. Our endeavor is in futility. Our endeavor, is like the battle has not begun. We're already a loser. We come here born loser with nothing. Are we gonna leave this world born loser with nothing also? Not being able to appreciate what is inseparable from me. And I'm misusing my life, my love, to be tasting the bitterness of this suffering in this world. I have become like a camel who is hungry, who goes to see a kiawe tree, and that kiawe tree is full of thorns in its stem, covered by all these leaves. And the camel comes, so much food, and he bites all the leaves and eat it. but in the process, the thorn hits and injure his lips and tongue, and blood oozes from it, and it is salty, and he begins to appreciate how nice to taste my blood, how sweet the saltiness. It is contradictory to what is really sweet. So that is our situation. We have become sadomasochists to enjoy the pain. And what is the solution? Go for it. Just like in Japan, I've seen this documentary. Because the Japanese, they want discipline. They want to defeat suffering. To be so much like callous to the pain. So they put themselves by the seashore with these high waves. They tie themselves. And the waves drown them and goes back. And they experience the pain of being drowned. And they cry, Bansai! I can survive. I am strong. I am a survival of suffering because I experience suffering and live with it and love it. We must become intelligent. So I'll read to you the meditation that is really sweet and heart-fulfilling, that gives us joy in our heart, that yes, I can love. And I can taste love for God. I can experience connection with the person I love. A reciprocation. It's not a one-way relationship. It's a two-way relationship. When we speak of love, it is a loving reciprocation. Meditation. To meditate means to engage the mind in thinking in the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. So when we chant Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we address our dear friend Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. The Supreme Lord is all attractive because He is very attractive. He is the most beautiful. He is the source of everything, spiritual or material. He is the most compassionate. He is the most wealthiest. Everything, transcendental qualities, comes from Him. He is the supreme provider, the sustainer, and our eternal friend who loves us. We call Him Krishna because we are attracted to someone, and that attractiveness is based upon all those transcendental qualities, innumerable qualities. So we call God Krishna, just like we address Krishna as Allah, or the all-compassionate Supreme Person. We address Him as Jehovah, the Almighty. So, when we refer to the Supreme Person, He is a person with all these transcendental qualities. He has so many names, just like you. You are one individual person, but you have so many names. But also, the Supreme Person, different individuals who have come in contact with Him in different places, in different situations, relate to Him differently because we're all individuals. Individuals, the Muslim world, the environment there is they worship God as all compassionate. Allah Akbar, Allah is great. We call Krishna the Supreme Person. We call Him Govinda because the relation is more intimate. Our friend. We don't relate to the Supreme Person just like some individuals, mostly in our upbringing, we see God as the judge. Someone who judges us. If we do bad, then at the time we enter the world of the kingdom of God, before entering, Saint Peter is there with a hammer and tells us, Peter, yeah, your name is same as mine, but what have you done? Di ba? You have done such bad things. And you are now given this sentence. So you relate to God in fear. You cannot embrace God. Because how can you embrace someone who will give you pain? What? You run away from that person. You are in awe because he's in control. You try to make believe you're a servant. You don't do bad because you're afraid of perdition. You're afraid of the effects of the revenge of God, the retribution of God because you are a bad boy or a bad girl. Di ba? And now, the entitlement will be the sentence of suffering. Because that is the relation they have. But when Krishna came here, the relationship is not like that. The residents of Vrindavan, they embraced Lord Krishna. They don't see him as God. The relationship is very close. So individuals worship God, relate to God in different ways. And some also relate to God through the rituals. I follow these rituals, not to bow down, to do these things, so I can be with God. But the process we follow is the topmost process because you can embrace God. You can be with God. You can give your heart. You can be comforted in the transcendental relationship without any qualms or fear because you can be sheltered. You are assured, I am protected and loved. In the Nrsimha Purana, meditation is always in the form of Krishna. So I'll tell you this story. I read this story about a person who is very poor, a Brahmana, a priest. In the city of Prastinapura of South India, there was once a Brahmana who was not very well to do, but he was nevertheless satisfied in himself, thinking that it was because of his past misdeeds and by the desire of Krishna that he did not get sufficient money and opulence. So he was not at all sorry for his poor material position, and he used to live very peacefully. He was very open-hearted, and sometimes he went to hear some lectures delivered by great realized souls. At one such meeting, while he was very faithfully hearing about the Vaishnava activities, he was informed that these activities can be performed even in meditation. In other words, if a person is unable to actually perform Vaishnava activities physically, he can meditate upon the Vaishnava activities and thereby acquire all the same result. Because the Brahmana was not very well to do financially, he decided that he would simply meditate on a grand, royal, devotional activities and began this business thus. So he meditated. He heard this instruction, this guidance from the instructing spiritual master coming from God himself. Sometimes he would take his bath in the river Godavari. After taking his bath, he would sit in a secluded place on the bank of the river, and by practicing the yoga exercise of pranayam, the usual breathing exercise, he would concentrate his mind. This breathing exercise are meant to mechanically fix the mind upon a particular object. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditation, not imagine in concoction, the mystery, but rather what he had heard, the process of bhakti yoga in transcendental meditation from the instructing spiritual master, not concocted by this temporary mind, which is not eternal. What we're discussing here is the eternal meditation that has been handed and passed down by the instructing spiritual master. Formerly, even quite an ordinary person used to know how to fix the mind upon remembrance of the Supreme Lord. And so the Brahmana was doing this. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditation. Imagine is not concocting ba, but rather he begins to have a recall of the instruction of bhakti. The process of remembering, chanting, offering prayers, bowing down to the deity, offering service to the Lord, that is the pure devotional service. Then he offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord. After finishing the dressing, he began to imagine that he was cleaning the temple nicely. After cleansing the temple, he imagined that he had many jugs made of gold and silver, and he took all those jugs to the river and filled them with holy water. Not only did he collect water from Godavari, but he collected from the Ganges, Jamuna, Narmada, and Kaveri. Generally, a Vaishnava, while worshipping the Lord, collects water from all these rivers by mantra chanting. This Brahmana, instead of chanting some mantra, imagined that he was physically securing water from all these rivers in golden and silver water pots. Thus he collected all the kinds of paraphernalia for worship: flowers, fruits, incense, and sandalwood pulp. He collected everything placed before the deity. All these waters, flowers, and scented articles were then very nicely offered to the deities for their satisfaction. Then he offered artik. With the regulative principles, he finished all these activities in a correct worshipping method. He would daily execute similar performance in his routine work and continued to do so for many, many years. Then one day, the Brahmana imagined in his meditation that he had prepared some sweet rice with milk and sugar and offered the preparation to the deity. However, he was not very satisfied with the offering because the sweet rice had been prepared recently and it was still very hot. This preparation, sweet rice, should not be taken hot. The cooler the sweet rice, the better it tastes. So because the sweet rice had been prepared by the Brahmana very recently, he wanted to touch it so that he could know whether it was fit for eating by the Lord. As soon as he touched the sweet rice pot with his finger, he immediately was burned by the heat of the pot. In this way, his meditation broke. He woke up and he looked at his finger. Oh, it's burned. While he was thinking like this, in the Vaikuntha, Lord Krsna, seated with the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, began to smile humorously. On seeing this smiling of the Lord, all the goddess of fortune attending the Lord, the Lord became very curious and asked the Lord, Krishna or Narayan, why he was smiling. The Lord, however, did not reply to their inquisitiveness, but instead immediately sent for the Brahmana into Lord Narayan's presence. So he sends his servants to fetch the Brahmana, to go to the spiritual world. So that is the connection of pure devotional service under the guidance of the instructing spiritual master. When the Brahmana was thus present before the Lord and the goddess of fortune, the Lord explained the whole story. The Brahmana was then fortunate enough to get an eternal place in Vaikuntha, in the association of the Lord and his Lakshmis. This shows how the Lord is all-pervading. In spite of his being locally situated in his abode, although the Lord was present in Vaikuntha, he was also present in the heart of the Brahmana. He was meditating on worshipping process. Thus we can understand that the things offered by the devotees, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord and they help one achieve the desired result. So to be in that world of pleasing the Supreme Person, there is a process that is given to us now that Lord Krishna himself comes to us, the holy names. And the Brahmana, he meditated, used his mind, and focused it upon the Supreme Lord. So we ask our question, this question in our life, where is our mind focused? So that will determine where our happiness is. Because where our heart is, that's where our mind will go. Now, it is discussed here that the wise man does not take part in the source of misery. So when we identify with this miserable body and follow the dictates of the mind and pursue the goal, the desire in our mind, with a promise of tasting those fruits, we suffer. It does not give fulfillment to the heart. Very simple. So now, Lord Krishna comes. In this case, in our remembrance of the transcendental pastimes of the devotees, how they are able to taste this loving relationship. This humble Brahmana listen to the pastimes that is being instructed by the instructing spiritual master, God himself, how he can relate the science of pure devotional service. It begins with hearing, chanting the holy names, hearing the pastimes of the Lord, what we should do to please the Lord, remembering the Lord, offering services to the Lord, praying to the Lord, meaning we should be focusing upon doing the will of the Lord. And it can be done. In this age of quarrel and confusion, God himself comes to us, helps us. We don't have power to overcome illusion, but he comes to connect our heart, our mind, our whole being in that world of what is pleasing and tasting that loving reciprocation. It begins with chanting the holy names. We receive now God through the sound that comes from the lips of the bona fide spiritual master. When we speak of bona fide spiritual master, the pure lover servant of God, a saintly person whose life is like the life of that Brahmana, completely 100% in doing his work, his life, his heart, his whole being, his life and soul, is that love to render loving service to the Supreme Person, to do the will of the Supreme Person. And all of us should be in that direction because we are eternally the loving servant of God. You are all spirit, soul, child of God. All of us. All this process, this love, this perfection is achievable. We can be situated in this transcendental loving relationship with the Supreme Person. It does not need to be appointed. You don't need to be appointed. There's no need to join. There's no need to perfect all those rituals. All we have to do is receive God, which is not different from his holy names, that will purify us, will embrace us, give us life, that this desert heart, this empty heart, we pray, my Lord, please fill this heart, this empty desert heart. I know for so long I have disregarded you. I followed the dictates of my mind. I have done my will and tried to negate, disregard you, forget you, and follow the dictates of the mind and its desire in it. I've been serving illusion for so long, and my heart is empty. And I'm lost in this ocean of misery. I'm blinded by desire. I have no strength and shelter. But because I've come in contact with your dear, loving servant, and I want that relationship I want to be established in that world of transcendental love, that my heart can be sheltered and be doing your will, to come to the point wherein my life is simply in meditation, in pleasing you, to love you. I know you're self-sufficient. My works, you are not dependent upon anyone's work, but I am cut off and separated from life if I am not in harmony with your desire and will. I become so hard-hearted. My focus now is upon doing my will. I humbly pray that I be able to remember you, just like this Brahmana who have come to the point of experiencing the sweetness of your love. I humbly pray that now my desire for that love is not there. Rather, I just want to be saved. I want to be alleviated from suffering. Now I want to taste that. Please allow me to be in that world, to have this desire, this humbleness, to love you and please you. That my goal, what will be my trust, what will be weighing in my heart, in my mind, will be a focus to love you, an endeavor in my life, activities to be pleasing to you. I want to enter that world of the saintly person, the world of your loving child, Lord Jesus Christ. I want to be in that world, even though I know I have disqualified myself for so long by disregarding you. I humbly pray to be in that world. Now we are given this opportunity that God Himself will be assisting us, purifying us from this impurity and helping us control the mind. Krsna Himself, the supreme purifier, the source of happiness. So hopefully, our mind, our vision, we can have clarity of this great transcendental opportunity while we are traveling in this universe. In this short time we're in this body, we take advantage of this opportunity to be in the transcendental world of pleasing the Supreme Person. Day out, day in, every moment of our life, and be in the world where there is no time, and that is a world of serving the Supreme Person. Haribol Namaste.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Hare Krishna Prasaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Hare Krishna Prasaya Te.
Jaya Jaya Guru Jai, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Guru Jai, Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Jaya Guranga.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadeva Bhakta Vrinda
Bhagavad Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hari Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Hare Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama
Hare Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Hare Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol
Paramaham,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari Bol Krishna,
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shri
Hari
Prabhupada,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shri Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasaya Te.
Hare Bol Krishna.